Welcome back to Sincerely Be. This is your host, Blanca. We have a beautiful guest in the room with us. Please welcome Miss Leslie.
Hey, y'all.
Woo!
We've been trying to do this for forever, but we're in a long distance relationship, so.
Do you understand the struggle now of setting everything
Yes.
up? Girl.
I'm always like, when is this next episode? When is this next episode? But now I know the struggle.
It's a struggle. But she convinced me. She was like, we're going to do a pod when we get there and everything. And I'm like, she really pushed me to come back.
Yes.
So thank you.
You need to come back.
I know. But we are back.
Because your voice is the best.
Thanks. Okay, so as you guys can see if you're watching, we are here wearing our cute little furry hats. I'm wearing a black one.
I'm wearing a white one.
Because opposites attract.
Duh.
Miss Leslie is out here in Colorado because it is my birthday weekend, and she loves me so much that she flew out to Colorado.
Yes.
Because we're going to go on a fun, spontaneous
cabin trip.
I'm so excited. How excited are you?
I'm really excited because, well, we got snow in Houston, but I feel like Colorado weather is just so much better. Like, I feel like it's colder in Houston than it is here right now, but it's, like, enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to layer so much.
Yeah.
Versus, like, in Houston, we have to, like, layer and layer and layer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But really excited because everyone's getting together, and I get to spend time with you.
Okay, let's backtrack a little bit.
Oh, yes.
As you heard, she is from H-Town. So Colorado weather is not, she's not used to it. How many times have you came out now?
I've came a few times because we had our engagement photo shoot here too.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been skiing with you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's been like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, because then you guys came out for Robert's birthday.
Yes, we did. That was a lot of fun.
Yes. They came out the year that we bought our house, and Robert threw like this huge 2000s theme party, and they came out to celebrate that, and that was really fun.
Because we went to Vegas in March, and then we were like, we have to go out to celebrate Bobby.
Oh my God, Vegas was...
It was one for the books.
Yes, it definitely
one
was.
One for the books.
It was. That was the first time her and I actually like got together in person. No, had we already met each other?
I think we did meet each other, but it wasn't
like I think it was just like
I think we bonded a lot more during that trip. Like we got to know each other a little bit more. But now we're on like 200 days of Snapchat streaks.
This relationship developed like from 0 to like 1,000 real quick.
It was like all of a sudden we were talking every day. And it's like if I don't get a Snapchat from Blanca, I'm like, are you alive?
She texts me and she was like, you haven't responded to my snaps.
Yeah, I'm that friend.
But anyways, so the reason we know each other and how we met is actually through our husbands. Right?
Yes. We're giving them a little bit of credit here.
Yeah. Not that much. Like we got introduced through them, but we became like our own personal friend dynamic outside of them.
So now Blanca's my friend.
Yeah. So like if we ever stop talking to our husbands or something, we won't stop talking.
I have her back and she has my back.
Yep. So...
That's why we are wearing matching fur hats today.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
To go in theme of the cabin trip.
Yes, we're going on theme for this weekend, and we're excited.
Yes.
I'm actually getting really hot, and she's like, no, this is perfect and cozy.
Yeah, it's like super cozy. I'm like, wait, are we in a cabin already?
I'm excited. I want to vlog it, and we'll see how much I'm able to vlog.
We're going to do TikToks for sure. Yeah. And we're going to take a lot of pictures because we both got a lot of really good stuff. So stay tuned for the pictures.
We love content. Yes.
Yes.
So we'll back up a little bit.
Yes.
We found out that you come from Houston. You're visiting us from Houston.
H-Town, hold it down.
People are going to be like, what?
Yes.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
So have you lived in Houston like all your life?
Yes. So I was actually born in Guatemala, and then I moved to Houston when I was 4. So I grew up in Houston, which is why it's my city all day, every day.
And you never like wanted to move out of Houston?
I did at a certain point, but I feel like I'm just so close to my family that
Yeah.
I just did not see my life, like progressing away from them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can go to other cities, but it's like Houston's always gonna be home,
Right. Yeah.
So I did move to San Antonio, which is like 3 hours from Houston for 3 years when I went to school, but I
For college.
yeah, for college, yeah.
Yeah.
So but I always knew I wanted to come back. Like I always was like, as soon as I graduate, I'm gonna move back to Houston. It's just I love living in the city, and San Antonio was a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was fun while I went to school there, but I always knew I wanted to go back.
Yeah, yeah. You are a city gal.
Oh, all day. Big city girl.
I could not. I love visiting, but I cannot live there.
Yeah.
And I think it's like I
yeah.
grew up in a small town. So, I mean, who knows? Because there's some people that like outgrow this and they're
Yeah.
like, no, I want something bigger.
Right.
But it's a lot. It's
Yeah,
like
it is.
chaotic.
No, I feel like these trips, though, slowed down our lives a little bit. And I think Mario and I really needed it. So, whenever we come here, we just like unplug, right? So, like, it's like we're like out with nature because we do go to like the parks and stuff over there, but like it's close to the city. So it's always busy. We're always doing something.
Yeah.
So coming here is just like we unplug and we just like get to be with our friends. The boys do their thing, like the girls do our thing. Like it's just really nice to like unplug and come here and just really enjoy like God's creations,
like a different environment.
Yes,
different scenery and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a breath of fresh air for sure.
Yeah.
And I think just like getting out of the routine is always good. Even like within a relationship, but even like for yourself.
Right.
It's like you get so caught up in like work or working out or family or this and that, So I think we really needed this trip. One to celebrate you, duh, but of course.
Main reason, actually.
Yeah. I mean, the guys want to make this a boys trip, but it really wasn't.
Can you believe them? They're such freaking a-holes. They were like, oh my God, excited for the guys trip. I'm like, it's Blanca's birthday trip. Get it right.
Literally. So now we took over.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take over all weekend.
Yes.
We're gonna make them take really good pictures of us.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Our husbands know our angles.
Oh, 100%.
And they're very like blunt with us. They'll be like, no, that's not it. Like that is not your angle, girl. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, literally. They're gonna be like, switch.
Yes.
But yeah, so I mean it's nice to be here, because again, like just different scenery, different things to like different friends to be around.
Right.
And I feel like every time we come here, it's like I feel like I come here, and I mean, although I do talk to you every day.
Yeah.
Even though you don't live in the same city, I feel like it's just like, like we've seen each other every day.
Yeah.
Like it's like I live here or you live there with me.
It really feels like we were like already together.
Yeah.
Like in spirit, we were literally together. Because I kid you not, you guys, we talk. Our Snap stories like take up the whole day. So we like wake up, say good morning, tell each other like everything that has happened.
Yes.
And then we have to respond to every single topic that we're talking about within those snaps.
Sometimes we're both in meetings and all we hear is like bzz, 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 notification.
But we have to put it on like do not disturb because it goes off. Like it's bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
We're obsessed with each other. What can we say?
And I bring her along my days. She brings me along hers. It's like, I don't know. It's really
so
nice.
Entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like whenever she's driving home, she's like, oh, I was watching all your videos. And I'm like, I was literally in the shower just watching all of her videos.
And I think it's what I really love about our friendship is that we like live in different states, obviously, and we're like keeping up with each other's different lifestyle, but there's like something within the midst of all of that we're like that we connect.
Yeah.
100%.
Like
Like We're both pretty close in age. I think you're like a year older, right?
I'm going to turn 29 this year.
Yeah.
So we're pretty close.
Yeah. So we're
same age group.
Yeah. So we're close in age and everything. And, we're both married. We both became homeowners.
Yes.
We both have a dog. She just got her fur baby. And I feel like we're in like this stage in life where we can really relate to one another. So I feel like we have built this sort of like relationship and friendship that we can find in each other because like, I don't know, like there's just something that always like attracts me to just, I'm like, oh my God, Leslie needs to know this because like, has she gone through it? Or like, have you, like, am I acting crazy for thinking these sort of things? So I feel like it's like a really beautiful friendship that we've developed that I don't feel like everyone needs to understand it, but like somehow we're just like, we get each other,
I mean, and even though like you said, our lifestyles are completely different, there's always just something we have in common every day.
Every single day. Or I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, what? I felt that too.
Yeah. Or I'll be like, I need your advice. Or I just need to rant.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And also, like, I love that we always bring like God into the center of our conversation, and like that kind of always just keeps us sane, we're like over here like maybe having like a very overwhelming day and we like pray for each other and we just like talk about like God and everything, and I'm like, this is the girlfriend that I needed in my life.
And even though we're long distance, we are making it work.
We would be such good like if we dated long distance, I think we would like always keep each other spiced up.
I would date you.
I would totally date you. Absolutely.
Of course.
Our men's do not deserve us. They don't understand.
They will never understand. No, but something that you like touched on was like, putting God in the center of everything. And I feel like he always has a purpose for the friendships.
Yes.
Whether it's like taking people out because they already serve their purpose or putting someone in your life. I think, God does things for a reason. So whether it's like removing people from your life because they serve their purpose or bringing people into your life at the right time when you need them. And I think you and I like really got close when I needed someone there that was so close to God and was going through their own journey. You know what I mean? So I think like you really helped me like unplug one. So whenever Blanca did her like social media cleanse, like she inspired me to do it. And I was like, you know what? Like I really do like sometimes don't live in the moment. Like because I'm so focused on like posting or like trying to create like content, And so it was always something. And I think whenever you did it, you inspired me to do it. And I think it was a really positive thing for me. Yeah. So now I feel like I enjoy the moment a little bit more, so I'm more present. And I do take pictures, obviously, but sometimes I just don't feel like I need to post them, And so I think that was like one thing, but another thing was like, whenever I came to you and I was like, what do you do to like in your daily life, right, to like implement God? And so she was telling me everything she did, and I started journaling, which really helped a lot. Just like through everything that I was going through at that time, right? Because we all go through things. Yeah. So I think, our friendship started very positive.
Yeah.
And God did it for a reason, you know?
I believe that 100%. Yeah. Leslie came into my life when I really needed a girlfriend to kind of uplift me in a situation that happened that I really did not expect. I feel like you really understood that situation and you really helped me kind of like, okay, like lay it all out, say what you need to say, but at the end of the day, the situation happened and you can't stay in that moment, For her, she was just like seeing everything from the outside and not like being in the inside of everything that happens in such a small town.
Yeah, so it was like more of a neutral opinion.
Yes.
And I mean, even though it's hard, right? Like when someone hurts your feelings, you want to be like saying all these negative things about the person because that's just like our human instinct.
It is, yeah.
But I think that you're just such a positive person where it was like, I wouldn't say consuming, but it was just like taking a mental space that didn't need to be there, right?
Exactly.
So like, I think that, we both do it, right? Like I tell you like, hey, this happened. And you're like, okay, like we vented, let's throw it away because we don't need it, right? Whenever Blanca and I came into each other's life, it was like the perfect timing.
It really was. It really was.
And now we just vent all the time about things our husbands do.
We vent, we close it, and we're like, okay, moving on. I think we really, what we're here for each other in each other's life is to kind of like,
she's like my notebook.
Like we're like each other's diary. Because I don't know, like I really started to feel so much peace with her and like around her and talking to her, because I know like whatever I tell her, she's not gonna like run off and like tell other people.
I feel the same way too. It's not even like, I just feel like it's hard to find people to trust, right? Yeah. And so whenever you really have a good friend that brings such like positive light, and although like we're both still learning, I think it's just one of those friendships that, you know, it happened for a reason at the time that it did, right? Like, we could have gotten closer sooner, I feel, but it happened at the perfect time.
It really did. Yeah.
Like, we were both going through, like, different things, and I feel like it just helps, right? Like, and like you said, you see a different perspective because the city life is not for the weak.
Yeah.
So
you've told me some crazy stories and I'm like, that's just wild, like how people are out there and just the way that you kind of always have to guard yourself. Like it's kind of crazy. And I totally understand why so many people put their walls up when it comes to meeting friends or like losing friends and things like that. But how do you feel now, like that you're getting older and obviously like you have your own family now with your husband and everything, like how much does friendship outside of your marriage really mean to you? Like the importance of having, you know, like a girlfriend or just like friends outside of your marriage,
right?
That maybe you didn't meet through your husband or anything like that. Like, do you feel like it is important for you as an individual or overall?
I think that at a certain point, I thought our friendships were like consuming a little bit too much, right? So I think you did an episode on this where you were saying like you need to fill your own cup, you know? And I feel like that's so true. Like I can't fill your cup if mine is empty, right? So I think that I learned that over time. Like I lost friends, you know, I removed myself from situations where I felt like I was, I guess in a sense, being taken advantage of, right? Like I feel like you and I have a really good balance of like you reach out to me, I reach out to you, right? And I feel like a lot of friendships weren't doing that for me. Like they were just taking from me, but they weren't really giving, you know, that same energy back.
Yeah.
And Mario really put that into perspective a few times, right? Where things would happen and he'd be like, you know, see, this is like why you can't always pour more, right?
Yeah.
Because then your cup is left empty.
Yeah.
And so, you know, with that and just like really getting closer to God, I realized, wow, like what's important is really my home, right? Like that is like number one priority. And then from there, I can worry about everyone else around me, right? Which whether it's like family, like my parents, his parents, like, and then friends, right? Like, and it's hard to find really good friends these days. Yeah. You know, I know.
Genuine friends.
Yeah, genuine friends. Because I can, like, go down the street and make 3 friends, but are they really going to be there during the hard times, right? So, I would say, yes, it's important, right? Because everyone needs a balance of, like, friends. But it doesn't take up so much space like it used to.
Yeah.
You know, like, we'll go, like, have dinner with our friends and stuff, but we enjoy being home. And I think a big part of that, another reason why Blanca and I really bonded was because I got a dog.
Oh, yeah.
So every
you guys
day,
know how obsessed I am with my dog. If you don't, now you do.
Yeah. And every day I have a question for Blanca. Especially, I think I asked a lot more questions at the beginning because it was our first puppy and I was like, oh my God, like he ate this, like what do I do? Like it was like every day. It was like having a baby and I'm like, what do I do? So we enjoy being home more because we have him, right? And it's just like little things like that put your mind in a different perspective. Like my priority isn't, you know, going out with my friends anymore. Like I think we went through that stage already and we moved on from it, right? And another thing is just, it's hard, right? So my husband and I have been together for a long time.
Oh my God, how many years? Okay, together for how many years and married for how many years?
Yeah, so together it's been about 9 years. And then marriage, it's going to be 5 years this year.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, like when I think about it, right, it's been a long time. And I feel like we're growing as we go versus people, like kind of like you and Bobby, right? Like you guys got together
when we were like older,
yeah,
more settled. Because you guys got together when you guys were young.
Yeah. So, he was in Chicago for school and I was in San Antonio for school. So, at that point of life, like we were doing long distance. We did long distance for like 2 years ish. And that was hard in itself, right? So I think just over time, like he was growing up and I was growing up and we were trying to make it work, like doing it together. And even now, I feel like we're going through each stage of life and we're still learning so much from each other. And I think that's any relationship. Like I'm sure you still learn things from your partner, right?
Yeah.
So, it's very different as you get older. Your priorities really do change. Like my priority isn't going out as much as it used to be when I was like 21, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just completely different. And I think another thing too is like we got the house and I love being home.
They just became homeowners
last year.
Yeah.
And that took a huge chunk of our time too, like just decorating it and like just being home, like who wants to go out when you have a house?
And I become such a homebody.
Yeah, and I never really understood that. Like whenever Blanco would tell me, I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Because like we lived right downtown Houston. So there's always something to do, right? And all of our friends are very like social. So we would always like go out and like whether it's like dinner, whether it's like just a few drinks or whatever it is, like there was always something happening. And there always is something happening in Houston. So I think as we got into different stages of our lives, like things really did change.
Yeah.
So I think, friends are important. Of course it's good to have friendships, right?
Yeah.
But I think the center of everything is always like God, and then everything kind of trickles down into like a pyramid.
Yeah. And I love that you touched on like if you're not taking care of your home, your house, meaning like your marriage, honestly, like do the friendships even prosper from that?
Yeah.
Like is there a reason why you should be more invested in your friendship than your home life?
Exactly.
And I feel like it does happen a lot. Like when we're trying to be friends with the whole world, we really forget about the true relationships that are meaningful, genuine, and real.
Right.
And I love that you were like, as we're getting older, we're starting to realize that. And like you said, I just want to touch base on like how Robert and we got together when we were mature, like he was in his late 20s. I was in my mid 20s. And we kind of already had our individual self sort of figured out. I'm not going to say we had it like all figured out. No, but like I kind of knew like what I was doing. He knew what he was doing. And then we just like got together. But you guys have gone through like, like your early, mids, late 20s, like you guys have seen each other grow.
Yeah. I would say every marriage is challenging, right? Like whenever you're combining your life with someone else, it's always going to be challenging.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone says like, oh, marriage is great. Like, but the reality is like.
Who said that? Who put that in their
mind? Who said that? Because they were wrong.
No way.
No, but a lot of people say that, right? Like whenever you ask someone, and I think you said this earlier, was like, people try to portray their life to be perfect and it's not, right? And so really whenever you see someone and you're like, hey, how's marriage? How's marriage? How's married life? People are always like, good, like no one will be like, well, we have all these challenges every day.
Right.
So I think, as you grow up, things change within yourself, but they also change with the relationships you build.
Yeah.
And again, going back to like pouring into your cup, I can't pour my husband's cup if I don't have enough in mine, right? And so I think what really helped fill that cup was just my relationship with God, praying more, understanding what prayer means. Because, I mean, you can always, think like you're praying, right? But what does it actually mean? Like, is what, your conversation with God, is it a meaningful conversation?
Yeah.
Right? So I think all those things really helped. A lot of who I've become now versus like who I was,
right,
you know, a few years ago.
Yeah. And I also think that just comes from individual maturity.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, there might be things that have happened within your relationship that make you behave a certain way, but you need to kind of step back and see like, okay, how am I acting? Like, how am I feeling? Am I okay? Who am I as an individual outside of my marriage, you know? And I think that is so important because it really completes your marriage as a whole. Because if you are just defining yourself through your marriage, like your identity gets lost through that.
And I think that happens a lot more often because we don't realize it.
Yeah.
Like we just get so caught up in our routine, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to cook dinner, I have to wash the dishes, I have to wash, you know, like you have a checklist and then it's like every day you do that checklist, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, it may be different for men, right? Or for different people, but I think for us, like specifically, we get caught up in like our daily routine and like what we do with our husbands and things like that. So we do lose ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
And although like sometimes you have to adjust to your partner, right? Because everybody has to adjust a little bit. I think that you always have to be yourself in order for something to bloom, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's like friendships or your relationship, marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. You know, it's always really important for you never to lose yourself.
Yeah.
In order for you to really prosper everything else and like water the rest of the garden, right?
Yes. I love that. That's really good. And I feel like a lot of us have to put that into perspective too. I do like how you said that though, because like if we are not watering ourselves, how are we supposed to water into our marriage? You know?
Yeah.
I want to ask you though, because you have been with your husband for a very long time. Do you ever feel like you guys get the pressure of like, when are you guys gonna have kids? Like, why is it taking so long and everything?
I feel like it's always something. So when we were dating, it was like we moved in together before we got married. And it just happened to be when COVID happened. So we were literally stuck together.
Oh my gosh. That should have been like the biggest test.
Yeah, it was. And it was like, you know, you're getting used to like, don't leave your shoes here. Like, why are you brushing your teeth in the shower? Like, you know, little things that, you know, really add up and stuff. So that was like the first thing, right? So the first pressure was like, well, why did you get into an apartment? Why didn't you get a house? And it's like, well, what if we got a house and then like we didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
That was like the first thing that happened. And then after that, it was like, okay, y'all are engaged. So when's the wedding? And then after that, it's like, okay, like now you're married. When are you going to have your first kid? Right. And then it's like after that, like when are you going to have your second? Or when's the house coming? Like it's always something. And I feel like sometimes people do it unconsciously and they mean well, right? Like people will ask like, oh, like how come you guys don't have kids? Or like, you know, do you guys want kids? And we do want kids. I just think every person's journey is different, right?
Yeah.
Like I think I learned that from a lot of stories that I read from women that were saying like, you know, my mom asked me or my dad asked me, you know, and it's like they're struggling to get pregnant and it's another pressure for like someone to constantly be asking or like setting an expectation of what your marriage or your relationship needs to be. And again, God's timing, right? Like, of course, like I wish, you know, I had 2 kids already, right? But it's not my timing, it's God's timing.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, by 25, I'm gonna have 2 kids, I'm gonna be married with a house. Like it was just like my timeline. I feel like all women have this.
Yeah.
Though. Like women have a timeline, men don't have a timeline. They're just like they wake up and just like eat.
They just go with the flow.
Yeah, like
they go with the flow of life.
Yeah,
which love that, but also can't do that.
Yeah,
couldn't be
so
me.
It's just crazy though because I feel like all women have this timeline. So my timeline used to be just that. Like by 25, I'm gonna have 2 kids. I'm gonna have a house and I'm gonna be married, right? And I'm going on almost 29, almost 30. But I'm going on 29 this year, and it's like, I mean, yes, I hit every other checklist that I had, right? Like, you know, we got engaged, we got married, we have our house, we got our dog, because that was like one thing that we wanted to just kind of get together, you know, first, was like a home. Like I guess like my goal was, and his goal too, was like, don't bring a child into an apartment. And there's nothing against that, but just that was just our goal, right? And so now that we have a house, it's like now it's a home. It's not just like a house, it's a home. So, and that you build that over time. Like you don't just buy the house and it's a home, right? Like you have to make it a home. And it all starts from the relationship that you have with your partner and stuff like that. But I think it's always pressure of something, right? Like, well, like, why don't you guys have kids? Or like, do you want kids? Like, we get that question all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It gets so, I mean, it's obnoxious, to be honest. And again, I do think that we need to be a little bit more sensitive to how we're asking it, how that is being delivered and everything, because at the end of the day, we don't know what that individual's going through, you know? People just need to be a little bit more aware of the type of pressure and expectation that you're putting on a newlywed or just couples in general and stuff like that, because you just never know what they're going through, you know? You don't know their financial situation. You can't be like, when are you going to buy a house? And you're like, girl, like, we are trying to figure it out. Trust.
Like, I'm making minimum wage, okay?
You're like, I'm holding 3 jobs right now. I can't afford a house. Like, we just need to stop setting these certain expectations in people's life, because at the end of the day, everyone has such a different journey.
I think you touched on a big thing of like just sensitivity, right? Like, and setting expectations. Like, I feel like it's okay for you to set your expectations with your husband within your relationship, but like, who am I to tell you like you need to have a kid next year, right? Like, because you're almost 30. Like,
people will always put like their little 2 cents and be like, I give you 2 years. Girl, I'm giving myself 5. Do not come at me and tell me that you are putting a timeline on me, because sometimes it doesn't work that way. Like, you know,
100%. I mean, and it's like, who are you to tell me about my ovaries?
Come to pay for my medical bills, and then you can
pay for my health insurance.
Yes, for real.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to, I'm sure you get this too. I mean, like I said, no one really does it maliciously, but I think it's just like once or twice is okay. But like if you constantly ask, it's like, I told you this a month ago.
Yeah.
We talked about this last year, like, just let it go, right?
Yeah. And not until people, like, actually learn the real reason behind it, that's when you shut them up. But it's like, why do you have to be putting your business out there to people? Why do you have to tell them the reason why behind it until they finally, like, stop asking?
Yeah. And I mean, it goes with anything else. Like, I can't judge someone else for what they do, right? But it's like, you shouldn't be telling me how to live my life either, you know?
Yeah. I want to go back to something that you said, that you moved in with your husband back then, boyfriend, during COVID. What are your thoughts? Or, okay, let me put it this way. What were you thinking when you're like, okay, like, I want to move in with him and things like that? Like, were your parents, because I know you're really close to, like, your parents. Like, were your parents, like, super against it?
So, honestly, Mario had moved back from Chicago. It had been a few months. And it started off, like, as a dating thing. Like we would go on dates to go look at apartments just because we thought it was cool. Like,
love those dates.
I'm not even lying to you. That's how it started. And then it was like, we found this really cool apartment that was, like, close to the city and everything. And we were like, let's just put in the application. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
And then we got approved and we were like, are we moving in together? Like, is this happening? So it was never like we sat down and we were like, okay, we're moving together.
Oh
like,
my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's how it happened. And then we didn't say anything really to like our parents necessarily. Like, we were just like, oh, by the way, we got approved and we're moving in this state. And they were like, what? And I think, like, you know, I think for his side it was more like, why don't you all get a house? And my side was like my parents specifically were like, oh, that's great, but like, you know, I'm an only child, I'm an only girl. Like, it was a little bit more like, wow, like, I wish both parents, they were like, I wish you guys would have confided in us a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I think if we would have done that, I don't think we would have moved in together.
Yeah. Because then you would have gotten a lot of opinions from everybody.
Yeah. So it's like we have 4 different, you know, people telling us their opinion, and it's like we wanted to do it in the moment because that's what we thought was right.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't regret it at all. I mean, it happened the way it happened for a reason too. Because again, like I think if we would have talked about it with our parents, they would have talked us out of doing it.
Yeah.
They would have been like, "You're too young." Like, what are you know? Like, it's just
Yeah.
it's always something, and not in a negative way, right? Like your parents are just always gonna have an opinion.
Yeah.
And I think growing up too, my parents were always like, "You're gonna date someone, you're gonna get engaged, you're gonna get married, and then you move in." Like that's just a timeline that everyone usually has.
Yeah.
But it's like our generation is just completely different.
For sure.
And I like that I lived with him for a little bit because, like, what if we got married and I couldn't live with him? Like,
Girl,
what do you do
that's
then?
what happened to me and Robert. It just all happened so smoothly and so organically. And I really prayed about it too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, is this like, what am I doing? But like, it all came into place. Like, there was no stressing. There was no, like, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it just happened. We were here and we're like, oh. But it was our first time living together. Like,
That's
we were
crazy.
learning so much about each other.
But I feel like it's different for every couple too because, I mean, back then our grandparents and like our parents, etc., like they all did it and they're fine or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone goes through their own journey.
They were popping like 12 kids,
Yeah.
like, every year.
I think my
like,
grandma had like 14, and I was like,
like, every year there was like a kid coming out.
yeah, and I was like, what is happening?
Why?
Did you guys not have a TV back then?
I just don't think they talked about sex, honestly.
Yeah, like, well, they didn't really believe in doctors either. Like, they're
No.
like, oh, we got this. We'll have
Yeah.
them at home. Like, huh?
Yeah, and for them it was just so easy.
Yeah,
Also.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's just crazy too, like, because your experience was so different too. And going back to the age thing, like, you guys were at a different point
Yeah.
where, like, we were like, yeah, just move back.
Yes.
And we jumped into it.
Yes.
Like,
So you guys were still doing long distance. By the time that he moved back, that's when you guys were like, oh, okay. Or was it?
it was like a few months. So he moved back like July. And then like a few months went by, and then we moved in like.
So this was the first time that you guys were
February,
actually
March.
like in the same city, like
Yes.
actually dating, like, you know, not doing the
Yes.
whole long distance things, and then you guys
Yes.
moved in together.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It worked, right?
worked.
Like, I mean,
now y'all have been married for 5 years.
yeah, it's crazy to think about that too, because, like I said, like, I mean, again, like if we would have talked about it with our parents, even like our home, right? Everyone says like home, like buying a house is really stressful, and I agree with you. Like our process was so smooth. Like we went, looked at things we wanted. We had an idea of what we wanted.
Yeah.
And everything went so smooth. Our realtor was amazing. She's like actually one of my friends now. But she just made everything easy for us. There was like fires in the background, and she was like turning them off, and we
Oh
had
my
no idea
gosh.
that things were happening, and it went by so smooth that we were like, it's meant to be, you know?
Girl.
Yeah, like she literally was like, you had no idea this was happening, but I was burning it. Like she was like, there was something burning down, and I was like turning it off for you.
my
She was like,
gosh.
because that's, you know, she's like, that's my job as a realtor, right?
Yeah.
And so I told her, I was like, wow, like that's crazy, because I had no idea that was happening. Like we
Yeah.
really didn't. And even like the financing people, like everyone was just so helpful.
Yeah.
Because I think buying a house, especially your first one, there's so much that goes into it.
There's so much that you learn through it. You're
Yes.
just like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like this breaks. I can't go and call the maintenance and be like, hey, come fix it. Like now it's
Now
like,
it's you.
yeah, like now
you have
I'm
to
fixing
figure
it.
it out.
Yeah.
The money's coming out of your pocket to
Yeah,
fix it.
exactly.
Okay, you guys. So we had to stop because one of the mics started to act up. And so we had a little technical difficulty.
But we're back.
I'm so bummed. We were having such a good conversation too.
I know, but it's okay. We're making it work.
We are making it work. It's fine. You know what? Something wanted to stop us from having a
You
really
know
good
what?
conversation. Maybe we just needed to get closer to each
Yeah.
other.
That's what it is.
Where did we leave off?
We were talking about living with Mario.
Oh,
And how, like, you know, what my parents thought about that and
Yeah.
stuff. I feel like everybody goes through their own journey, right? So, like, just because I did it this way doesn't mean that's the correct way. And just because you did it your way isn't the correct way. You know, like, it worked for your relationship. So,
Yeah.
I think where it goes back to is just, like, relationship building, you know, and as you kind of mature, the decisions you make really do affect your life, right? Like, what if I didn't move in with him, right? Like, who knows what would have happened?
What would your life be?
I don't know. Oh wait, I know what we're talking about.
Oh.
You were asking me if I could live anywhere.
Oh my gosh, yes. We were actually wrapping up. I think that's why.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were.
So let's see. Oh yeah.
And then I was like, I want you to guess.
Okay, so where we left off was I asked Leslie if she wasn't living in Houston right now, where would she be living? Okay, and I have to guess. You are a city girl. So would it be, oh my God, would it be Chicago?
No.
Okay. Miami?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I always said, like, if I was going to move somewhere else, it would definitely be Miami.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
And not even like Miami specifically, but just anywhere in Florida. Because I'm like, I love the beach. Like, I love to tan, love the beach. The culture, the food is really good there. I don't know. The people are very beautiful there.
I hear that they're kind of mean.
But I feel like that's everywhere.
But you're used to people being mean.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people think I'm mean.
Yeah. When I first met her, I thought she had a resting bee face.
Yeah. Everybody says that. But then everybody's like,
I was like, is she actually nice? But then you start talking to her and you're like, oh wow, like you have a really good way of like keeping a conversation going with people. And also she's the type of person that like meets someone for the first time and like they tell her like their whole life story.
That does happen.
We went skiing one time and we went up the mountain and she stayed behind because she was taking lessons. Yeah. And then we come back and she like was like best friends with like this older person. And then we're like, hey, we're back. And she was like, I just learned about that guy's whole story, like the whole life.
100%. Yeah, but you know that happens all the time. Like we've gone to places where like waiters, bartenders, like literally sit there and tell me their whole life. And I'm like, I don't know why that happens. But I feel like it depends. Like whenever I'm in a new environment, I'm either like very like quiet at first or I'm very like social.
Yeah.
I think it just depends, especially like the person.
Yeah.
Like at first I was like, oh, like, you know, I'm meeting like the girls and like I feel like the girls were already established and I was like kind of new into the circle. Like it was just kind of like, oh, like I'm just gonna be quiet and like be observant versus like just inserting, you know?
Yeah.
But it really just kind of depends on the vibes.
Yeah. But I also feel like you bring such like confidence with you. And like when you like step into the room, you're kind of just like, this is who I am. This is what I bring, you know? Like you're not shy to like show like your flaws or just like whatever you carry with yourself, you know? Like I feel like you carry yourself in a really good way. And if people are like, oh, she's a bee, and you're like, well, if that's what you want to think of me.
I really don't care. Which is like, I feel like Jen said this once. She's like, vibes are vibes or something. And I was like, yes, Jen, speak the truth.
Shout out, Jen.
Yes. Because I'm like, oh my God, that's so true. Like, and it goes back to like a lot of topics we hit, right? Like, do I really care about other people's opinion? I mean, I feel like I used to, but as I got older, I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to be around me, then I really don't care. Like, it doesn't, like, I feel like it used to, like, bother me or, like, ruin my peace, and now it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, well, you're missing out on, like, my life. I'm not missing out on yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it all goes back to the same thing of, like, relationships and just, like, timing. And I feel like I'm just very straightforward, and not a lot of people can take that. Like, it's like, if I don't like you, I just don't click with you, you know? Like, and I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And I feel like that's good. Because, like, who wants to be everybody's cup of tea? Yeah. You can't be. And if you feel like you are, you're probably being unrealistic with yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Because whenever I first met you, I was like, oh, she's really nice. But, like, that was, like, the only thought that I had.
Everyone says that they're like, you're too nice. But I don't do it like in a fake way. Like I honestly just like to present myself as a kind person, but I'm not a pushover.
And see, like, I was just like, is she really that nice?
Yeah. Like everyone thinks that. Everyone
was like, I'm used to like Houston friendships or like, not Houston friendships, but like just friendships in general or like they're not as genuine, or like they pretend to be genuine, but they're really not.
Yeah.
And so when I met you, I literally told Mario, I was like, she's so nice, but is she really that nice? Like, or is she just being fake? Like, because sometimes it comes off that way, but it's not intentional. Like, you're just nice.
Yeah.
But I think, same thing. Like, as I learned who you were, I was like, she really is this nice.
I also like, I always say, I'm like, I don't want people to take like my kindness, because there's a difference between being nice and kind. Like, nice is like people really do push, like you can be a pushover with people. I'm just kind, and the fact that like I always know there's a reason why people behave the way that they behave, right. And not a lot of things get under my skin, and not a lot of things hurt my feelings. There are certain things that do. At the end of the day, like, you're either going to be miserable and like always like go back to whatever, if people screwed you over and everything, or you can just be like, you know what, it happened, moving on in life.
Yeah, and it goes back to cutting people off, right? Like, not in a like harsh way, but it's like you served your purpose, time to move forward.
We're going
different directions. But yeah, I mean, where would you live if it was in Colorado? You can't say you don't see yourself going to.
I love Colorado. I really do. Oh my gosh, maybe Oregon.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
I just like love the town feeling. Like, I love just like the little cozy home feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Do you get me?
Yeah, I mean, you're like a Twilight gal.
Yeah, what does that mean? What do you mean?
Like, like in Twilight, they're like, it's like,
wait, Twilight is not a good movie.
It's like all out in nature, and like they're in a little town, like.
Yes, that's true. But don't compare me to the main character, Bella. She
no.
was a whole different character.
Yeah. Did you see they're trying to bring that back?
Ew, don't.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I could definitely see you in Oregon for sure.
I mean, I've never been, but I see a lot of videos on it, and it.
At least I've been.
Okay, true. But like all of these places that like I see, I'm like, oh, that looks so cozy. I feel okay. Maybe not Oregon, because I wouldn't like to do like Portland, like not like that. That's maybe a little too big for me. But just like a small town, Montana, Wyoming, wherever there's nature. Still haven't gone to those places.
Like, as long as there's trees around them.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. Like, if I could live.
What about Utah?
No. Utah's too like flat and plain, and no. Did you ever watch the Secret Life of Mormon Lives?
No.
You have to watch it. Yeah.
I remember like there was a whole scandal thing on TikTok, and it kept like coming up on my feed, and I was like, wait, they're Mormon?
You need to watch it.
I was like, wait, they're Mormon and this happened? I'm confused, but I haven't watched it. I feel like, so here's the thing, like I get obsessed over like finishing a show. So I feel like if I'm watching this series, I can't jump into like the other ones. I'm like, I have to finish this. And I think, okay, so Blanca also encouraged me to watch Gossip Girl for the 10 million time. So there I go, watching Gossip Girl. And then like 3 of my shows came out, and I was like, I can't watch them, but I want to. I just need to finish Gossip Girl. So I finally did. And then I got into like the other ones. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm watching that Younger thing the show. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm watching Younger right now. It's really good. I watched it because I saw like a little clip of it somewhere. I think it was like a reel or TikTok. I don't know. And I was like, wow, like I could probably watch this. And it's really funny.
I love Younger. When you told me, and I was like, oh my gosh, when it first came out, I think it was like 2021. Yeah. 2020, 2021. I never watched it though. It's such a good show. The main character kind of pisses me off though.
Liza?
Yeah.
She just, I don't know. I watch her more for Hilary Duff. Like,
yes. She is iconic.
Lizzie McGuire.
I love her. Way. Yes.
No, but yeah, it's kind of funny though. Because and it goes back to being at home. Like, I just like being home, putting on Netflix, just
being with your dog.
Yeah, it's like, I was like, I'm having like, what did you call it? Mom guilt?
Oh, yeah. We picked her up from the airport, and then I was like, do you have mom guilt yet? And she was like, yes.
I was like, as soon as I was packing my bag, I was like, I don't want to leave. Aww. Yeah, it's really bad. But I mean, it helps because my dad's watching him and stuff. And he's like familiar with him, you know, but mom guilt for dogs is the thing.
Well, girly pop, yes. I think this comes to the conclusion of our amazing episode. We talked a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I love it.
This is literally describes what we do.
Like, this is like what we talk about. Well, we go like into juicier stuff, but you know, you guys can't get the glimpse of all of our stuff, our diary.
It's a little too juicy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But thanks so much for coming for my birthday weekend. Like, she really made the effort. We had talked about this for months. I was like, I have been wanting to do this for my birthday, and I had planned to do this for like my 28th birthday. Like, my 28th this is my year. I have a feeling I am declaring it. I'm praying. Like, I just feel like this is going to be such a good year.
Manifestation.
And I was like, I really want to go on a cabin trip. So I told her, and she's like, I'm going to make it happen. Like, I'm going to make it happen. And she did.
Yes. We made it happen.
She's here.
So then it was like funny because we kept counting down. And then it was finally like, T-minus 4 hours.
We're over. We are really in a long distance relationship. We're like, we're going to finally see each other. But now we're together. And I'm like, I feel like I've been with you, like in person for these past few months.
Yeah, 100%. But love.
Are we soulmates?
I think we are. Did you know that
Robert and Mario are downstairs and they're probably like, these freaking...
Yeah. You know that Mario told me there's a difference between twin flames and soulmates.
What is it?
I can't remember right now. But look it up, guys. Look it up. It's a thing.
What are we? What would we be?
I think you're my soulmate.
Because twin
flame.
I wonder what that is.
I can't remember. I'm going to go downstairs.
We're going to look it up.
I'm going to go downstairs and look it up right now.
Anyways, our husbands brought us a Taco Bell, so we're going to go downstairs, munch on that, work on our puzzle. We have a whole puzzle that we're working on now.
I'm working on the state of Texas, y'all.
I'm like, please finish that side because it's a lot.
Yeah, it is, but TTYL, guys. See you guys soon.
Thank you so much for joining this week's episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, having my amazing guest on here. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you are listening on Spotify, go ahead and share it. And can't wait to chat with you all on next week's episode. Sincerely, B.
And less tea.